For 400 years, the Israelites had been in Egypt. This took place at the end of the book of Genesis. But now, through the crying out for a deliverer, God provides an exit strategy, an exodus from Egypt. And so the book of Exodus is an amazing book of miracles and calling, this continuation of God's love for his people, the nation of Israel, the Jews. And he calls a man named Moses, this man who grew up in the palace under Pharaoh during a time of harsh treatment against the Israelites, a time of slavery and bondage. And God takes this man Moses and allows him to leave the palace, to go into the wilderness for 40 more years, to be stripped away of pride and arrogance, even oratory skills that he would have learned in the palace, and to come to the point where all he had was God. And the truth is that when God is all you have, you realize that God is all you need. So at the very beginning of Exodus, we have a story of God using Moses to go back into Egypt to deliver the people of God. Yes, God had allowed them to be there for 400 years, to grow to a million plus people, and he was going to rescue them out of the bondage of Pharaoh. God sends Moses into Egypt, performing miracle after miracle, sending plague after plague, and ultimately Pharaoh would let God's people go, but not without a fight. The Israelites leave Egypt, they cross the Red Sea, and the armies of Pharaohs are swept up in the sea. And thus begins the wilderness wanderings, where God is not only delivering or saving his people, but now God is sanctifying his people. He will use this wilderness wandering to teach them how to not be Egyptians and how to not be Canaanites, but how to be his chosen people. The book of Exodus declares for us a new people, a new nation, a new family, a new law. It declares for us a new way to interact with God. And how do we get the gospel from this? If Exodus were the only book, well, God is forming a brand new people in his church. He's taking us out of the bondage of slavery and sin into the promised land of heaven. And along the journey, God sanctifies us even in our wilderness wanderings. Jesus Christ is the greater Moses, the greater deliverer. Exodus is worth reading for the gospel.